Hey again, guys. Thanks for watching. I wanted to pick back up a little bit where I left off with Brian Such this weekend. If you remember, I was down in Nashville meeting with one of my friends who's an IT expert. He just moved from the East Coast to Nashville. Got a great job in IT. He specializes in a very specific programming language that a lot of healthcare companies utilize. So he was able to pick up and move there and kind of follow his dream. So he's doing two different things. Number one, he's just continuing the everyday 9 to 5 life, but he's also an incredible guitarist. He moved out to the West Coast to go to school when he was right out of high school. I think he even went maybe to Berkeley back on the East Coast. He's spent a lot of time doing that. He's one of the best I know. He's also one of these really, really bizarre, just ADD kind of guys who is tireless. I mean, the guy goes 90 miles an hour, 24 hours a day. He seems very unfocused at times because he's doing so much, yet he's got these big goals that he's stuck to his whole life. And that's kind of what I talked about even earlier this week about some of the dichotomies that pull us in different directions. We think we have to have one thing or the other, one extreme or the other, and it's just never the case. But one of the things that Brian and I talked about was thinking big, and that got my mind rolling. I even kind of admitted in the introduction to that I probably blew it, and I wish I would have stayed with Brian longer and just extended that interview even into different parts, because there's so much in that topic. And I think it's just one of those places where we can get the best of both worlds, but I think we have to understand exactly what our motives are going in. And my first question would be, do we even have a goal big enough to get that excited? I think of the people who have accomplished the greatest things in certain industries, whether it's a sport or music or anything else. It could just be industry, it doesn't have to be artistic. And those people, of course, might have great aptitudes and genetics for that, but there's no doubt there also comes sheer discipline and work that separates them from the crowd. And the first thing that they had to start with at some point was simply having a goal big enough to want to pour that much consuming desire and work into it. It had to just pull them out of normal life that we might experience into this orbit all their own. So that would be my first question. If you think you're struggling with maybe just even, pursuing a goal that you think you should be, I should be doing more here, maybe it's the wrong goal. Maybe it's not something you just love that much. I think of people like, this will date me a little bit, but Larry Bird. I read a biography on him a long time ago. He's from Indiana, so the hometown hero kind of guy. The guy was not that talented. Some would argue that he was not that good at all, and yet he would go shoot, I think, 200 free throws a day before every practice. Once he went to the Boston Celtics, even though he was already a college champion, before anybody would show up for practice, I think he would go 2 hours early, and he would run 5 miles around the court and so forth, and up and down the stadium stairs, and shoot those free throws just every day, day after day, just to become the best. That's a lot of work, a lot of effort, but it was a goal that consumed him. So the antithesis of that, somebody might say, well, that might take you out of balance. You might not have a well-rounded life. And I would argue some of those people might really need to step into those shoes of somebody who have a goal that big and see what that's like. It might be quite a different story once you experience that. But I don't want to say that I'm just for one thing or the other. You might remember I mentioned to Brian that I know I need to put a lot of things on my plate because I'm not sure exactly what's going to work, and I might decide that this is the best path at this time. A lot of that has to do with business and just kind of reading the changes in industry. But let's pick something a little bit more personal, just a goal that might be more central to us. I would say, if we even just look at me as an example, I do a lot of things, but I still have one central goal, I think. At least I know what I want to do with my career, and I think this is how I integrate both of those principles. Number one, I do a lot of work for that goal. I went through a lot of school, specifically in health sciences. When I went from physical therapy to health to nutrition to health education, that was a linear path that helped me grow into the health scientist or health professional that I wanted to be, and even growing our company into an international consulting firm and I get the chance to work with some amazing people all around the world. That was definitely one big goal, but a lot feeds into that. I'm still in school. I'm still pursuing another master's degree in social science, one that I just finished a couple years ago, led me to this one. And I would say that that's not a different goal. It just feeds into what I'm doing now. It makes me better at what I'm doing now. There was a philosopher a long time ago, and I tried to look it up and I just couldn't find it, who said that once somebody achieves about 80% mastery in something, they get bored and it kind of goes away. And I would say you can even see that in some people who are that intense about something right away. Back to athletics, if we look at LeBron James or Tiger Woods, they're at the peak of their career, and then all of a sudden they start getting some other interests, and LeBron's out doing a TV show now and this and that, and it doesn't mean he's not still the best at what he does, but you could see he's starting to branch out. It's, I've done this for a long time, and now I'm looking for other things. So one of my goals is always to look at what I'm doing now, and what do I want to do in 5 years? What do I want to do in 10 years? I'll ask myself those questions. And if I want to be doing something over here in 5 or 10 years, what am I doing now to prepare for that? And can it help with what I'm doing right now? How can I use that to my best ability in what I'm doing now, so it's not just something completely out in left field? So again, for me, I look at the fact that I know I'm not going to be doing what I am right now in this capacity forever. That might change and evolve, and 20 years from now, I still could be completely involved in what I'm doing. But at least I've been adding things to my life that interest me and that have probably made me a lot sharper, and probably even created the environment for me to enjoy what I'm doing now that much longer. But I also have goals that say, if this does kind of dwindle, or if I just take a little bit of a lesser role, what am I doing now that I could do later, that I could extend? Am I building a path to something even bigger? So I've got all these things feeding into a goal that I'm working on now that's central to my career, but they're also creating paths that could lead to other things later. So I think that's not only responsible and forward thinking if we all did that, but it certainly makes what we're doing now just that much more fun. And that's a big part of it. But I think here are some quick little tips to maybe get you there. Number one, I would say definitely think through those goals. When I teach business consulting or even creative writing, I often teach a course that I title The Business of Art, how to take whatever you're doing artistically. For me, it's writing and being an author. For other people, it might be music. I met somebody in Nashville who's a phenomenal painter. This guy is incredible. So, but we all have to make a living. If you're doing some kind of an art or liberal art, you still have to have a way to feed yourself, and so there has to be some way of generating revenue from that. I would say pick that biggest goal you have and just start making kind of an outline. What are your credibility statements? What do you offer now that's very unique and different? And then what could make you the best at it? And then what brings you the most pleasure from that? If you remember, the whole title of this vlog is Tribal 4.6. And that also has some connotations of dichotomy. We have a small tribe that we love. We love to be around like-minded people. And if you have these big goals, you've got to find that tribe. You got to go to those places. Brian said he joined a National Songwriting Association, and he goes to these meetings and he learns. They have guest speakers, and obviously naturally you're going to have some tremendous talent, but he's associating with those people, so it keeps him sharp, and he's just immersing himself in that. But of course we live in a big tribe, the human tribe, and so we have to know what we can bring to the rest of our friends, the rest of the people that we associate with, who might like and appreciate what we do, but they're not exactly in that element all the time. So we're constantly in our small tribe, but we're also collectively in this big space. And so we're floating in and out of those worlds. And I would say how you do that most effectively will really help generate longevity, because you want to be somebody who brings that novelty to the people who appreciate what you do. But you also have to go in head first and really, really immerse yourself in that to be the best. So Brian said he has a very disciplined practice regimen. And he has created this himself. Being an IT guy, a programmer, he's even made it a software program that he's going to be using to teach students. One of the things that he taught me right away when he was helping me with guitar is a 3-minute rule. And it seems very benign. But he would say, okay, if you're learning a new chord, don't just say, okay, I think I've got it, and put it down and practice a little bit and then go on with other parts of the song. He said every single piece, every transition, practice that for 3 minutes straight. And that doesn't sound like a lot, right? But when you're sitting there strumming the same thing for 3 minutes, typically you would stop after about 5 or 10 seconds because you got it, you kind of, you found the place where you need for muscle memory, and it's over, you move on. But when you just drill down that deep, it's like Larry Bird shooting those free throws. So take that time and dig in, but you've got to be organized to do that. You've got to find the place. One of the reasons I shoot a lot of these videos in what I call my lab. So out there is my office, and that's where I do a lot of my work. That's where I meet with people. That's where I'm on the phone, on my computer. This is where I come to write. This is where I come to do music stuff. This is where I come to read. So as soon as I walk in that door, I know I'm in my creative space. Everything else gets left behind. I think that's important too. Stephen King even wrote about that in his memoir on writing. You just have to find that place where you can be your best, be undistracted, get that work done, and then leave again. Again, coming back to this tribe and then going out to be part of the collective tribe. So anyway, I hope that helped, guys. Didn't want this to run too long, but these are big topics, and I think that when we start expanding, Corey Probst said this in a blog or a post that I had up this week, was she asked herself this question all the time: is what I'm doing now expanding me or contracting me? And you guys, to have big goals and to reach them, you've got to be expansive. You got to look for ways to really expand and go out there and reach in. But there are times you have to really be focused and drill down on exactly what you need to do to make that goal happen. So hope that helps. Thanks, guys.